play Sepulchral Primordial, play a land, mill trigger and a Tatiova trigger. Will we hit anything good? Ooh, we got the Eternal Witness. Oh. Today on Commander Replay, we take another look at Tergrid, God of Fright, and find out what happens when removal starts to fly. Next on Commander Replay. Commander Replay t-shirts, available in orange and colors beside orange. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some more Tergrid, God of Fright today. Oh, this hand's tricky. It's got card draw, but this Cabal Coffers is not helpful. Yeah, let's mulligan that. It's a little risky. This feels safer. Got some ramp right here in the medallion, couple lands, Rankle, Soul Guide. Yeah, we can make all that work. This can draw us cards in a pinch. That seems good. Go ahead and keep this one. Opponent's going to start with a Forest and a Eutropia Sprawl. Surprisingly good piece of ramp that most people forget about. That and Wild Growth are both really good. I would use those over Mana Dorks any day. Unless you specifically need the creatures, these are so much more durable than a Birds of Paradise. Brings it to our turn one. There's a Swamp. Swamps are good. We'll play this Swamp. It's kind of cool looking. Out of 8th edition. White border, but sweet art. We can play a Soul Guide Lantern. Why not? No cards in graveyard, so nothing to exile, but it's in play. We can crack it if we need to, should something come up. And with that, let's take a look at our commander. We're playing Tergrid, God of Fright, 5 mana 4/5 with Menace. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. On the backside, Tergrid's Lantern, 4 mana legendary artifact. Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card and pay 4 to untap it. Like I've talked about in some other videos, we're going to be focused primarily on the front side of Tergrid today. And yeah, we're basically just trying to win the game with that It That Betrays effect of stealing all of our opponent's stuff, so hopefully no one plays a Homeward Path, because that could be bad. This is my second game with Tergrid. I've played one already, and the first one was absolutely insane. You guys should go check that one out, because Tergrid's power was on full display. We'll see what happens in this one. We'll see if we just got a little bit lucky in that one, and if we had a really good starting hand and all that kind of stuff, things just went our way. Maybe opponents will have a bit more resistance for us in this one. I did tell them this is going to be a strong game, so, bring the stuff. And, yeah, we've got some opponents. Opponent gets themselves a Ruin Crab. When a land enters the battlefield on your opponent, each opponent mills 3 cards. That could be helpful for us once our commander's in. We mill 3 cards. Ooh, Pox, Living Death, and Court of Ambition. Ouch. Kinda wanted those. Brings it back to our turn. That's a Liliana of the Veil. Not a card that you get to run a lot of in Commander anymore, but I think it makes sense for this deck, so I decided to jam it in here just for funsies. Yeah, we'll play another Swamp, cast the Jet Medallion. Mystic Remora is going to trigger. Opponent to get themselves a Mystic Remora on their first turn, and yeah, they're going to get some card draw with it. I think that's 2 cards. And we'll pass like that. So let's take a look at what our opponents are playing. First up, we have Poison Sugar piloting Aesi, Tyrant of Gyre Strait. Really good. Simic decks are really good. Tatiova mixed with Exploration. What could possibly go wrong putting those 2 cards together? Yeah, when opponent gets to the late game, I'm sure it's going to be really bad news for us. Even the mid game, they could probably just ramp uncontrollably. Keeping their commander out of play will be a good idea. Even better if we can keep it in play for ourselves. Next up in the middle, we've got Mango piloting Prossh, Sky Raider of Care, and he's been talking about this deck a lot lately. He's been wanting to play it in some of the high power games that we've had going on, and I forget if he said if it's a food chain Prossh or not, so we'll need to be on guard against that. Prossh is a really good commander. In a paper game we played over the weekend, I was able to take him out very early by blowing up all of his Mana Dorks with a turn 1 Fervent Champion into a turn 2 Umezawa's Jite, and he basically just had no mana at that point, and that was kind of game for him. There is a cost to running Mana Dorks, and opponent did get punished for it. They do nice things, but they are creatures. They do get blown up. There's a Mana Dork. Gives us something we can blow up. Our final opponent, by the way, is Illegal Xeno piloting Eutropia the Twice Favored, who they just cast and is now in play. It has Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That creature gains flying until end of turn. Opponent's going to go attacking with the Ruin Crab. Did opponent not play a land this turn? Yeah, I think they missed their land drop. It's not where you want to be. Ooh, another pretty 8th edition Swamp. I like the art on the 8th edition Swamps. I also like the card frame. Play the Swamp. So we're on 4 mana right now. Next turn we'll be on 5. What is a little bit awkward is we could cast Rankle right now and we'd have to sacrifice Rankle. I don't know if that's the best, but we get rid of the Elf and we get rid of one of these 2 things. Oh, maybe it's worth it. But then we give up on the Rankle. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I'm just going to cast the Swiftfoot Boots right now. The other thing we could do, too, we could play Liliana and tick up Liliana. Doesn't seem awful. Yeah, maybe we do that. There's 3 power on board. Liliana would go to 4. I don't know if that's a trade. And then if they play an enchantment, that would get pumped up. Okay, yeah, I don't know if I'm looking to make that trade. You know what we do? Let's cast Rankle. And I think we just go in the card draw mode. Swing into Mango. Rankle trigger. We're just going to go for each player loses a life and draws a card. Actually, we can do the discard also. Essentially looting. We don't really need our Homeward Path. This is not a deck that needs Homeward Path. I copied this deck list over, at least the land base anyway. Although, if the blue deck does stuff, then you got to think about that too. Maybe we just discard the Swamp. Discard the Swamp. Ideally, our opponents will tap out this turn, and we can cast Tergrid and then do the Rankle thing. So, land from us, Nuzzle Hall, Bastion of Remembrance, and a Madomi's Prophecy into the graveyard. Ooh, we draw a Waste Knot again. Waste Knot was ridiculous in the last one. Are we back on Waste Knot? Oh, man. Opponent lets the Mystic Remora go. There's a Cultivate for opponent. Got the blue player tapped out. Love it. Love it. Ooh, it's a Reclamation Sage. Let's see where this is going. Our Jet Medallion would be bad. Yeah, Jet Medallion going down. It's going to be another turn. Unless we catch like Ancient Tomb or something like that. It's going to take us another turn to get the Tergrid now. More fast mana. This deck needs more fast mana. Ruin Crab. Each opponent's going to mill. Yep. We lose land, Geth's Grimoire, and Urborg. Growth Spiral. I guess that puts us on the Waste Knot plan now. We can do that. Dark Ritual off the top would also be sweet right here. Opponent leaves 2 mana up. Don't love that. 2/2 coming our way. Yep. Down to 37. Death Cloud. Funny card. Let's play the Waste Knot. Actually, yeah, let's play the Homeward Path. Get that in first. Play the Waste Knot. Go to combat. I think we stay on Mango. Prossh is very strong. Also, it's a flyer, so we'll lose that window eventually. Might as well get the damage in now. That's a Rankle trigger, so definitely the discard. We'll do the draw as well. Not doing the sacrifice yet. We need to discard a card. What are we getting rid of? Man, I want to play Lily. I don't think we can protect Lily. We have Death Cloud now. Death Cloud's insane. Yeah, discard the Liliana. Get some Waste Knot triggers. Someone discarded a land. I don't think we'll be able to do anything with that mana, though. We make a zombie, so now we can start sacrificing stuff to the Rankle triggers, which will be good. And there's a Champion's Helm. Another protection effect. Oh, that doesn't require mana, does it? Okay, yeah. Okay, so can't do anything with the 2 mana. But we can play these Swiftfoot Boots right now, so we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll pass like that. Got our 5th land for Tergrid, so that's super important. Definitely like that. Farseek for opponent, more ramp. Opponent leaving some mana up. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. Signet for opponent. Ew, no. Return to nature. Opponent bringing all the removal. Waste Knot going down. This means war. Zulaport Cutthroat into play. That's a good card in that deck. Sir Conrad was a real problem for us in the last game. Zulaport, not quite as bad as Conrad, I don't think, because it's only their creatures, but still an issue. Still not great. Landfall trigger for opponent. Oh, man, that mana over there. It's not great. It's not great. Parcel Beast coming in for opponent. Gonna mutate it onto the Ruined Crab. I think it might be too risky. Like, this just looks like removal. Oh, yeah, that doesn't seem great. Open mana over there, too? I don't think we do it. I think I'm gonna put the boots on Rankle. I think we need to wait our opponents out a little bit right here or get them to use some mana or something. Let's play a Swamp, play a Champion's Helm. Equip the Champion's Helm. Do some attacking. Staying on Mango. He keeps blowing up our stuff, and he's the furthest ahead right now. Rankle trigger. Not going to go for the discard this time. We're going to go for the draw and the sacrifice a creature. So we'll sacrifice the zombie. We draw a Cage Sun. That could be helpful. Opponent gives up on their... Surprisingly, the Reclamation Sage. Zulaport Cutthroat will trigger. I guess they want the mana. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. I thought they would have went the Mana Dork, but I see what's up. Pass like that. Yeah, I think the plan right now is just kind of like smother our opponents with Rankle for a while. Go on the slower setup plan with Cage Sun. The other 2 opponents still have a lot of cards in hand. Mango's down to 3. I'd imagine that he's probably a little bit lower on removal. He's discarded a bunch. He's milled a bunch. He's also used a bunch against us. So here comes Aesi. Yep. Opponent tapping out for it. I guess they can play an extra land. Ooh, opponent's going to Disdainful Stroke with the Aesi. It's unfortunate because I had plans to steal that Aesi. Yeah, so I think they were holding... Yeah, they would have had that Disdainful Stroke on our turn, so that's why I didn't want to cast our commander. That just looked like a big old trap that, yeah, we would lose a lot of tempo and a lot of mana, and no one needs that. I think they're on Prossh mana now. Yep, there's Prossh. Ew. Unfortunately, they have slowed us down enough that we're a little bit behind. That's Prossh sort of becomes the issue now, because, like, there's so many things they could have in their hand that are just a giant problem when you're making that many tokens. Would love if someone would shoot that Prossh. Opponent's going to use their Parcel Beast. Look at the top card of their library. If it's a land, onto the battlefield. If not, into the hand. Was it a land? I guess they don't have to reveal it. I'm not sure. Landfall. Come on, mill all of opponent's combo pieces. What'd we lose? We lost land, Thran Dynamo, Fraying Omnipotence. There's a Liliana Dreadhorde General. That's a fun card. Play a Swamp. Does a Cage Sun survive if we play it? I don't know. Let's do some attacking. Swing into Poisoned. Rankle Trigger. Just the card draw this time. Vona's Hunger. Oh, that could be interesting. We need to get the City's Blessing. We do not yet have it. Think I'm going to try the Cage Sun and hope it sticks. Ew, opponent's going to Frilled Mystic on our Cage Sun. Yep. There's a chance that Prossh could just win on their turn. That Cage Sun's going to hurt. Needed that mana. Also, our tempo is not great in this moment. Oh, opponent chose not to counter our Cage Sun. They made a deal with us with the Prossh, but yeah, I don't know if that's the right way to go about it. They should definitely counter this Cage Sun, because we're also a problem. But this Prossh is also a problem. Choosing black. I have a feeling like it's going to be a long time back to our next turn, though. Super worried about Prossh. Aesi's got some mana. They haven't spent a lot of cards. They've got 7 cards in hand, so could have a lot of things. I'm not sure what they're up to. Man, I gotta run Soul Guide Lantern more. I'm loving the fact that I can just leave this here and not have to spend mana to exile opponents' graveyards. All of them at that, especially with the landfall mill going on. It's gonna feel great. Compulsive Research for opponent. You know, that's a card that used to see a lot of play in 60-card formats where lands are slightly less valuable. In Commander, lands are the most valuable, so it's not a card you run all that much because you'd rather have the land as opposed to the other two things quite a bit of the time. For a pretty large portion of the game, that land is where you want to be. Kodama's Reach for opponent. More ramp. Yeah, next turn. Now they are getting ahead on lands. You're going to have 9 lands. It's turn 6, so they'll have 9 lands when they untap. On turn 7, they can play their 10th land. Yeah, that's some ramp. And 10 is kind of the big number. 10 is the number where you can generally do a lot of stuff. The Command Zone study from a couple years ago did find that the winning player usually produced, I think it was like 10.9 mana, so like essentially 11. And the numbers have probably come down a little bit in that time because things have gotten more efficient. There's also more ways to make a lot of mana. Dockside Extortionist is insane. But yeah, you know, always be scared when someone starts getting up around 10 or 11 mana because you can just make a lot of big plays that are hard to stop. What could be interesting is if someone else has to use removal on the Cage Sun because opponent did not counter it. Even crazier than that is if we just untap with Cage Sun, then we'll be able to go wild. But Grim Tutor, let's see what opponent's going for. They follow up, yep, there's Food Chain. For each spell and ability your opponents control, counter that spell unless they pay 4. Perfect! Food Chain getting countered. Love it. Makes me so happy. I hate Food Chain. Someone in my local, like, only plays Food Chain decks, and they all win on turn 6. Doesn't matter what deck, doesn't matter what commander. Same thing every time. Just draw until you find Food Chain, and then Food Chain combo. Opponent's going to start sacrificing some kobolds to trigger the Zulaport Cutthroat and make Prossh huge. You know what's good, though, is that's going to be good for our sacrifice effects. Interestingly, opponent's got 2 mana up. Could be a counterspell. That would not be ideal. Yep, there's an 11-5 Prossh coming our way. Can't take another hit from that, although it'll be smaller next time, but assumingly they'll try to recast it. Down to 16. So it looks like opponent is playing essentially Simic counterspells, is what's going on over there, which that's a great way to compete at a high-power table if you don't have an exorbitant budget to work with. Counterspells are cheap. Stop everyone from making game-ending plays, and yeah, that's a thing. And really what you can do, any deck with a lot of removal is something that you can build cheaply that should be able to compete at a fairly high level by just running like 20 removal spells and then filling out the rest of the deck with whatever proactive stuff you can jam in there. Glittering Frost, you say. Enchanted land to snow. When it's tapped for mana, add 1 mana of any color. Sweet. A little bit expensive for that at 3 mana. I'd personally only run that in a Enchantress style deck, but I guess that's what they're doing, so that does make sense. Anything where you can trigger a Constellation, Enchantressy things, that's going to be the plan, but 3 does feel a bit expensive for that. Surprised that they didn't go 2, because 2 would put it on par with like a Rampant Growth. I see a lot of open blue mana. Opponent asking if a Lignify solves the Prossh problem. For the most part, it doesn't, because it's a very sack outlet heavy kind of deck. Opponent going to swing into the Prossh. That is a very good idea. Opponent's going to Frogify the Prossh. Loses all abilities and becomes a 1/1 until end of turn. Interesting. Oh, that's not until end of turn. That's a permanent change. Well, now we can poke him in the air. There's a Thespian stage. Interesting. Play the Thespian stage. Try our commander. See if it gets countered. I have a feeling it will. In a shocking turn of events, it has resolved. Move the boots. Yep, there's a Rapid Hybridize. Just like I thought. Back to the command zone. This is probably a pretty good time for Liliana Dreadhorde General. Let's give it a shot. This thing is a really crazy card. Keep swinging into Mango. Rankle Trigger. I don't want to discard. I like both of those cards. I think I want to draw, and we'll force everyone to sacrifice. Opponent will likely sacrifice their commander. Or sacrifice the frog. Yeah, they sacrifice their commander, put it back in the command zone. Zulaport and Liliana Dreadhorde General will trigger. We have our next swamp lined up. Sepulchral Primordial. Oh my, that thing will be ridiculous. Yeah, let's make each player sacrifice. We'll give up on the Rankle. It's done its job. Really want to get the Zulaport out of play. Sacrifice 2 creatures. Also, we'll draw another card, which is sweet. 2 Zulaport triggers, a Liliana trigger. Another swamp. We will pass like that. Empty board. See what we can get with the Sepulchral Primordial. Nezelhal is a cool card. Tatiova is also cool. Rex Sage. Ooh, that's Zendikar's Royal coming in for opponent. Seems like that'll be pretty good. Looks like Rex Sage and Zulaport are the best 2 from Mango. And what do we have over here? Lore Scale, Caudal. Frilled Mystic, not ideal. Scape Shift. What? Scape Shift for opponent. Probably about to get a whole bunch of 2/2s. Ruin Crab is actually really good for our deck. Opponent Scape Shifts. Yep. Looks like they're going all of their lands, so gonna get a lot of 2/2s. Yep, there's a whole bunch of lands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Zendikar Royal triggers. Any lands? Any lands. I kind of want the Zulaport for the life gain because we have taken some punishment. Ruin Crab is also sweet. Opponent and I worked out an arrangement where they're going to Underworld Breach for a Blasphemous Act. And I get it. I could exile the graveyard, but I don't want to deal with 20 tokens. We don't actually have that many board wipes in the deck because it's almost all sacrifice effects. So 10 2/2s is a problem for this deck in its current setup. I also don't want to exile their graveyard because I really want that Zulaport Cutthroat. Opponent can get a Mana Crypt also. Yeah, there's the Mana Crypt. Probably get like one other creature afterwards. One removal spell if they want, which maybe isn't the best, but I still feel okay about like where we'll be even if they fire a removal spell in our direction. Oh, never mind. Ruin Crab doesn't actually help us that much. Mill is not discard. I don't know why I was confusing that. Sir Conrad triggers off of cards going to the graveyard from anywhere. Tergrid does not. Hand or battlefield. There's the Blasphemous Act. Opponent exiling a bunch of their stuff already for the escape cost. They can probably play about one more card if they want. 2 if it's a Mana Dork. Although the other thing to consider is that the Ruin Crab just keeps milling them and we still have this Soul Guide Lantern. So we can still get rid of combo pieces, and that's fun. Opponent's going to Grim Tutor. Yeah, that's fine. Chrome Mox for opponent. Interesting. Exiles a Terminate. Oh, are they going to shoot our Cage Sun? They're probably going to shoot our Cage Sun. Yeah, I was thinking that maybe we should have Soul Guided Land. We should have used the Soul Guide Lantern. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Yep, Nature's Claim on the Cage Sun, so all of our extra mana are going to go away. Yeah, that's going to happen. The good thing is that because opponent doesn't have any stuff in play over here, they're going to be more likely to tap out trying to cast things on their turn. Because I'm still just worried about counter spells. Opponent's down to 17 right now. They've got a Mana Crypt in play. If we can get like a creature. I mean, if we can get our... you know what? We can... Sepulchral, we can put Boots on. And that'll put some damage on them. Assuming it resolves. Destiny Spinner. Creatures can't be countered. Turns a land into a creature. So Liliana probably going to go down. Yep. Here comes it, Liliana. And down she goes. But only one blue mana open, and that's where we want to get to. Promise of Power is a cool card. We're a little bit low on life, though. I think this is the Sepulchral turn, so hold off on that land. We got things to do with that land. Play Sepulchral Primordial. Let's get Ruin Crab, Zulaport, and Tatiova. Play a land. Mill trigger and a Tatiova trigger. Love it. Another land for us. Boots on the Primordial. Will we hit anything good? Ooh, we got the Eternal Witness. Oh, wish we... that's the one we want to bring back. Tormod the Desecrator. Keep swinging at Mango. Opponent says, how's that Blasphemous Act looking now? I mean, there'd still be 20 power of 2/2s on the board, so those couldn't stay. But, you know, the way the turn order shaked out, Mango will be the last one to rebuild. So now other opponents are going to need removal to try and deal with what we got going. Aesi back to play. Yep, can't do much about it. Zendikar as well. They'll make another land. So they draw, they get a 2/2. They crack a fetch, draw, get another 2/2. Crack another fetch, draw, get another 2/2. Hey, and one more time, Terramorphic Expanse. It's a pretty fast rebuild out of opponent. They've got 5 creatures in play when this resolves. Plus they drew 5. Seems good. Only 2 mana up, which is good. Could be a counterspell, though. Mana Crypt Flip. I would love it if they lose this. They want it. Bummer. Prossh coming back to play. Always scary. Gonna make more tokens this time. Up to 8 tokens. Luckily out of mana. Gift of Paradise on their land. Yep. Prossh will have lethal in the air if we don't deal with them. Animate Dead, you say? Animate Dead, getting Eternal Witness. What does Eternal Witness get us back? Pox? Living Death? Living Death could be interesting. How many creatures do we have in the graveyard? We have a Sangromancer, which gains us life. We have a Shieldred. We have a Rankle. So only like 3 or so creatures. What about Eternal Witness? We need to get rid of... We got a lot of tokens to clear out. We got a Prossh we got to get rid of. What does Fraying Omnipotence do? Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control. We could get a Demonic Tutor. What does that do? The fact that we haven't really been able to get our commander into play is kind of an issue. Let's play a land, get our draw, and mill 3 more, see if we hit anything interesting from our opponent's graveyards. Rune Crab, Tatiova. Bloodchief Ascension is a real magic card. Really need like a sort of Feast and Famine right now. We're just not making enough mana. Maybe that's the Animate Dead, get Eternal Witness. Is there a Coffers in our grave? No, just the Urborg. What did opponents mill? Anything? Feed the Serpent. Risen Reef is a card. Nothing super interesting there. We've already played a land, so getting a land this turn isn't going to help. I guess we could just like play a Deluge. Doesn't seem like the worst. Oh, what's in this deck? Rise of the Dark Realms is in this deck. So we get Eternal Witness, Demonic Tutor, and then, yeah, probably just has to be Toxic Deluge. Because we don't want to die to Prossh. Oh, and with creatures dying, that'll trigger Zulaport a couple times, and that'll put Prossh on really low life. Okay, so I think we have a plan. Go to combat. Sepulchral into Poison, Tatiova into Xeno. So they take some damage. Animate Dead on Eternal Witness. I guess the other way to go about it would be Living Death, and opponents would get some things back. Except one of those things would be a Nezzlehall. That's kind of scary. Yeah, so I think just get Demonic Tutor then. Oh, no, maybe because we would have had Shieldred. And I guess they would just have to exile. No, because then they'd have other stuff too. Yeah, I think Living... Ooh, you know what we could have did? We could have gone Living Death and then activate the Soul Guide Lantern. That's what we could have done. It's okay, though. This plan's still reasonable. Play the Demonic Tutor. Get Toxic Deluge. Play Toxic Deluge. Looks like 5 is the number we need. Bunch of things trigger. Bunch of Zulaport triggers. Mango scoops it. Says he has to go. Play Bloodchief Ascension. And we'll pass like that. Get a counter at the end step. Parallel Lives for opponent. That's a good one. Landfall, 2 tokens. Kamal. That's a scary card. Overrun effect. Eyes everywhere. Opponent gets to scry 1. What? Opponent steals the Kamal somehow. Something with the eyes everywhere. Activates the ability of eyes everywhere. And they get themselves a Kamal. Interesting. Oh, and they're going to start making some lands. Okay. We've got a real problem in Kamal now. There's a 4/4 on the loose. Coming our way. Down to 14. I mean, do we have to Death Cloud? That's a Harvester of Souls. Interesting card. Oh, you know what we can do? We can Homeward Path to mess up the control of this. Which we might have to do. Play the Swamp. The other thing we could do, we have 10 mana. That's exactly enough to Entwine the Promise of Power. That would be an 8/8. we could put Swiftfoot Boots on it and swing into opponent for 8. That will put them to 2, and then they probably kill us. Let's entwine the Promise of Power. We draw some things. There's a Sir Conrad. That could finish it up. Go to the end step, discard a land. Oh, there it is. Exchange control of Eyes Everywhere and target non-land permanent. Activate this ability only when you could cast a sorcery. Ew, if they steal that, that would be bad. They might just be trying to get their Kamal back, though. Kamal? Ooh, yeah, I don't think about that. So if they just exchange this back and then turn a bunch of things into lands, that's probably lethal on us. Reminop Excavator, okay. Explore. Landfall Trigger. Ooh, they have a lot of tokens, too. Yeah, we probably just die if they get their thing back. More tokens? Yep, they're going to get their Kamal back. I think they only have 2 legal attackers, though. That might be the saving grace here. Still 2 5/5s. We can block one, take the other. Go really low on life. Opponent has a whole bunch of 5/5s. 2 5/5s in our direction. Uh-oh, don't be removal. Don't be removal. It's a rift. Well, we will exile opponent's graveyard. Opponent has 31 cards left in their library. They had 44 cards get exiled from their graveyard. That is a lot. Yeah, we should have did the Living Death thing last turn. Living Death, Tormod's Crypt, get back Shieldred, Rankle, all that stuff. Because if Shieldred's in right now, then life is obviously good. Down we go. Down we go. Tempo-wise, the game started off pretty good, and then things started slowing down here later on, and lost a little bit of focus. That Living Death play would have been sweet. So in this game, Tergrid never actually stuck in play. We cast it one time, and it was immediately shot. And everything kind of came down to that Jet Medallion getting shot, because we would have had it a turn sooner when everyone was kind of tapped out, and we would have been able to make some things happen right there, and that would have been a really big deal. Ooh, opponent's going to Simic Charm and prevent the Eyes Everywhere. And that's GG. Aesi taking it down. Yeah, so we went down, kind of just got caught with removal, a lot of counterspells. We didn't have the juice to get through the counterspells, and we needed our commander to stick. Our deck is based around our commander. We couldn't keep it in play, and that was the problem. So I think more fast mana to get Tergrid in faster. Grim Monolith, super expensive, but I think is going to be something we want here. Maybe just like a Mind Stone. I don't think this deck really wants a... does this deck want a Burnished Heart? Burnished Heart's good for getting swamps in, which is the thing. We'll go no Burnished Heart for now. I think we probably also want a Cabal Ritual. Just everything revolves around getting Tergrid in fast, so, you know, that's what you gotta do. What can we get rid of? I don't know, Court of Ambition seems underwhelming. Seems like okay. Draw some cards with it here and there, but doesn't seem insane. And maybe Liliana the Veil is also a little bit cute. We'll get rid of that. So, there we go. Got a couple changes into the deck. Hopefully a little bit more fast mana, get Tergrid in there without running into problems like we did here. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon, link below.